बहुत जल्दी में. Yeah. Hi Vaani, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am also
मेरा
good.
थोड़ा सा लैग आ रहा होगा. I'm so sorry
No,
about
no, no,
that.
no. Lag अब मेरा आ रहा है.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's more dangerous.
Yeah, that's more dangerous. But I hope.
How are you?
I'm good, dude. I think it's been a while since we did this conversation, like
Friday stream.
yeah, Friday stream.
Yeah.
Because the last time it was the music stream, and today we also have a guest with us. We'll introduce him shortly.
Yes.
But let's quickly talk about all the fun things that are happening. Guys, can you hear us? Can you like confirm in the comments?
I think they can hear us.
Black God is here, Mr. Peanut Butter, Tanmay. I really like Black God's comment on your podcast today. That was
Yeah.
really funny. Like, yeah.
That was nice.
And yeah, man, I'm very excited about today.
yeah.
Yeah, please, please, please.
I like it जब मेरे siblings वाले jokes land actually.
Okay.
After so much hard work and pain,
Yeah.
I feel I deserve it. But
Nice.
no, I'm very excited. Today we have a very special guest with us. Mr. Peanut Butter is here as well. He's not the special guest, वैसे, but he's
He's
Zaki
asking if
bhai
Zaki
here.
is here. Zaki आ जाएगा अभी थोड़ी देर में. Anandita is here. And can you also post the link in the book wala group? Shall I do it? But do you have the access?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll just
Cool. So
quickly
I'll
do.
just introduce our guest
Yeah.
तब तक. So today we have a very special guest. A few months ago, मैंने एक podcast recommend किया था, and the name of the podcast was 365 stories that I want to tell you before we both die. And उस podcast की वजह से, उस recommendation की वजह से, we actually were able to meet a very special person. His name is Neyfakh, and he's an American journalist. He's also a radio host and author. And उन्होंने काफी सारे podcasts host किए हैं. One of them is Slow Burn, and another is Fiasco, which is actually running अभी. And so we have him with us today, and we are very excited to host a very special conversation with him. So अगर आप लोगों के भी कोई questions होंगे regarding podcast or something.
So we'll be talking in detail about podcasting, and he's a producer, podcast producer also. We'll talk about how to start a podcast, what are the things you need to take care of, and after, like, we'll talk to Leon for about like 50 to 60 minutes. Then after that we'll also stay here for a while and chat with you guys about all the teams that are losing in IPL and cricket. But yeah, so let's have Leon now. Leon, if you can turn on your camera.
Yay. Drum rolls.
Hello.
Hi Leon, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
All good. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Around 50 people are already watching us, and guys, please share all the questions you have in regard to podcasting, and we are going to try and answer them in general. Also, if you have any other questions for Leon, you can like put them out. And yeah, so Ayush also commented, "Hey Vani, hey Vaibhav." So yeah, we just see our friends sometimes in the comments and we get excited. Sometimes our like parents are also watching it and we then get conscious. Oh shit, our parents are watching. Now we have to be very particular about the things that we say. So
I'll keep that in mind.
yeah. Leon, I first want to start with this thing. So many people are starting with podcasts these days. So many people, and they say currently there are more podcast makers than podcast listeners. And do you think it's somewhat true, or do you not agree with it?
Well, I think it probably depends on the country, right? And I think in the US, I think the number I saw recently was like 2 million or something, that there's 2 million podcasts on iTunes, on the Apple
2
podcasts
million
ecosystem.
podcasts.
2 million.
Oh
I
shit.
mean, I think that's right. But then someone like did an analysis of all those shows, and they realized that like most of them end after one episode or two episodes, or they never even put up an episode. So if you really narrow it down to just like active podcasts that are actually being produced on a regular basis, I bet those, significantly less. I think I don't want to make up numbers, but I think it was like 800,000 was the real number, but that's still a lot. I mean,
Yeah, it's
don't get me
a
wrong.
lot.
It's still a huge,
Yeah.
it's a huge number. But no, I don't think there's more people who make them than listen to them.
Yeah, for us, at least for me and a lot of other people, the in point in the American podcasting world was Joe Rogan. And how do you guys perceive Joe Rogan in US? Is he still like the god of podcasting because of his recent Spotify deal and everything? Like how is he perceived there?
I don't know. I mean, so I'll be honest, like I've only like ever been exposed to Joe Rogan's podcast through like clips online that I've seen. I've never like actually sat down and listened to a whole episode. I guess they're like really long, right? They're like 2 hour, 2.5 hour conversations. It's like a very different kind of podcasting than what I do. I think you can sort of like usefully divide the podcasts into different forms, right? Like genres, yes, but also forms, right? So there's some podcasts that are like Joe Rogan, which is one person, a host interviewing someone for a really long period of time. And there's a lot of podcasts like that. A lot of them are super popular.
Yeah.
And then I think, beyond that, you have shows that are more narrative based, where it's a story being told over the course of an episode or the course of an entire season. That's more like what I'm mostly focused on. But I also have a couple of shows that I work on that are conversational. It's like, it's 2 or 3 friends who have a specific theme that that they come back to every week. We have one show that's all about the U.S. Supreme Court, and it's the same three lawyers every week. They talk about a different case from the Supreme Court every week. That show is called 5-4. And then we also have a show called Celebrity Book Club with Stephen and Lily, which is two longtime friends who talk about a different celebrity memoir every week.
Wow.
And so like those are I suppose like more similar to like a Joe Rogan style podcast than a narrative style podcast like Slow Burn or Fiasco. But like I think those are the 3 big sort of buckets. And so I think Joe Rogan is definitely the king of a certain like lane that he's in, but like I don't really consider Joe Rogan like something to compare our stuff to, because this is a different audience. There's a different I think ambition, that if you're telling a story, you have one set of artistic or journalistic ambitions. If you're capturing a conversation every week, it's just like, it's like a different value system, I think, for each form.
Okay. Yeah. I saw this tweet sometime back on Twitter, and I found it very, very funny. And it said, why do men start podcasts instead of going to therapy? And I was like, why do these men some women had written it? Why do these guys just start a podcast instead of going to proper therapy?
I think Joe Rogan has inspired a lot of podcasts where it's like a couple of friends who like hang out all the time and want to like capture like what it's like to like hang out with us and be have conversation with us. And I think I would suspect most of those podcasts end after a couple of episodes, and they don't necessarily find an audience unless there's something really special there, unless there's some spark of charisma or, energy that people really respond to. But I think it's rare. It's hard to capture that.
Yeah, so are you a fan of, like, this is something Vaani and I also struggle with, and we are trying to find an answer. So like we do these streams on every Friday. Sometimes we have a topic, but like I think we like talking so much like about various things. We are like, hey, let's just start talking. We'll find the topic by the end of the podcast or the stream, and we'll change the title. So a lot of people are also fan of those conversations where you don't have a topic, but you find the topic as you start talking. Let's say, hey Leon, how are you doing? And you're like, nothing, man, it was raining today. And maybe let's say we go to like climate change from there, like it's getting so bad. And from climate change we go to renewable energy, and like then we go to Elon Musk, and then we go to Jeff Bezos, and then we go to Blue Origins. So personally speaking, do you enjoy like those conversations, or you want, like, I need a topic, I need to know what you guys are talking about, I don't have the patience for anything else?
I think like you really have to be in love with the hosts to really want to come back every week for that. You really need to like want to be friends with them. It's almost like a sort of a one-sided like friendship, right? It's like you get to pretend to be friends with these people. And if you want to be friends with two people and you love them and you just want to hear their minds work, that's a totally fine format. Nice. But I think what we found is that, like, for instance, like Stephen and Lily, the hosts of Celebrity Book Club, they have this amazing rapport and chemistry. And it's just like incredible to watch. And like, I know that, but doesn't necessarily sell itself to be like, here's these two comedians who are really funny together. And, you kind of need like that extra frame or layer to get people in. So instead of just having this be freeform chatting, where they're just as, digressive, and go off on as many tangents. But if there's this frame around it, that's sort of this organizing principle, I feel like it's easier to sort of hook people in and give you some structure. And I think that's necessary sometimes, and maybe other times it's not. But for me personally, I think unless I'm just like, I don't know, I think even if I'm in love with some hosts, I think I still want to feel like I'm in someone's hands, a little bit.
Yeah.
More than just sort of falling through air.
So what would be those, like, some of those hosts, like, where you are like, hey, I trust this host enough that I know if I put my 45 minutes into this conversation, even if I don't like the topic, like, I would still enjoy the conversation. So can you name some of your favorite podcast hosts that you like listening to?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's hard. I don't listen to a lot of like kind of freeform shows. Like the shows that I love, there's usually, it's either I listen to a lot more narrative podcasts than talk shows. Like there's a new show that just came out called Death at the Wing. I don't know how interesting it'll be to like an international audience, but it's like all about the 1980s in the US, when you simultaneously had the rise of Ronald Reagan and also the rise of the NBA. And this podcast, Death at the Wing, tells the story of the origins of the modern NBA through the prism of Reagan era policies. Because as I didn't know this, but like a lot of young, very promising basketball players died during the 80s, with drugs and stuff and partying and like various like lifestyle things that came with just like sudden fame as NBA players. And the podcast I'm talking about like kind of weaves together that story with the kind of public policy story and the story of Ronald Reagan and the drug war. So it's like it's a super, like, as you can tell, it's like a super high level concept, and it's very kind of meticulously executed. And I think I more often respond to shows like that than where it's like where it's more about the kind of dynamic between the hosts. And the big exception is like the podcast I produce, which is like Celebrity Book Club. I just love those two, Stephen and Lily. They're just like I'll listen to those episodes like 3 times because I'm editing them. And I still laugh on the 3rd time because they just like they like I said, I'm just like in love with them, and I would listen to them talk about anything, whether it was a celebrity memoir book or something totally random. And yeah, I kind of think that's my favorite podcast, even though I'm not allowed to say so. It's something I work on.
Okay, no, it's completely okay. I have another question. It's in regard to something what we have been like doing and like what we have been experimenting with. I remember like on our last call, like you got a chance to see a part of Vaani's podcast, Bedtime Journals. So we actually released the episode number 2 today, and it's about her birthday, and the first one was about a street lamp. So my question is, in the first episode, we tried to give a little SFX where we used the audio effect of rain, like a little drizzle. And in this second episode, we used the audio effect of wind chimes and like the noise, the sound of air. So is it allowed to do that in podcast? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a rule. Hey, you cannot use SFX and everything in your podcast. Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I only heard the first episode, Vaani. I haven't heard the second one yet, but it's clear from listening to that we're not supposed to think like that's really the rain that you were hearing as a child. You know, it's clear that it's there for atmospherics.
Yeah.
I think the only time it gets sort of like dicey to use sound effects like that is if you're making like a journalistic documentary. You don't want to have like fake, and some people do. I mean, as just like in visual documentaries, you often see like reenactments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have actors basically. Like, I don't like that personally, and for the same reason I don't like when audio podcasts like use just like generic sound effects, like a gun going off. When there's a gun. But I think it is cool when you can use real sound to illustrate a story. So like our upcoming season of Fiasco is about Libya, the Arab Spring in Libya, and the attack in Benghazi. That was like this huge deal in America. And, we have video footage that we, extract the audio from, where it's like the actual sound of guns firing, during the revolution, actual footage of, various like, real footage that we can incorporate into the sound design, and that feels real. That's like we have like footage of protesters singing, but it's like the real. I'm referring to them singing, and it's really them, So it's not just like wallpaper; it's more like a documentary artifact. But yes, it's allowed.
Yeah, it's allowed. Great, but I am like literally we are just trying things, and I don't hear a lot of podcasts myself, so. Can you just tell me how often do people use atmospherics? Because here we are trying to use the sound effects like rain and the sounds of wind as a complementary thing, not as a clutch. Like even if you remove them, they'll stand on their own, the podcast. But it's just like an added like 10% atmospheric feel. So how often do people do that just for, hey, let's add this layer just to give it that, one extra hole like to fill in the ambience?
Well, so I have like a big blind spot on when it comes to audio drama and like fiction podcasts. Like I just never really like listen to one, and it's like I said, it's a blind spot. Like there's no good reason for it, but it's just not something I've ever had the time or motivation to like really become familiar with. I think that it's really common in audio fiction and audio drama to use sound effects. Like I think that's a big part of how they create atmosphere. I think, Vaani, like your podcast is memoiristic, if I understand it correctly. So it's not audio fiction, but I would say it is also, it's more an art piece than it is a journalistic piece. And so, I would never be surprised to hear sound effects in American audio drama or audio fiction. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Nice.
But I suspect it's common in fiction, especially.
Got it. So let's say if we go to Spotify tomorrow, hey, like, can you like let us like do our thing here and maybe even pay us? So so they won't say, hey, what is this SFX thing? It is not allowed. Like first remove these layers, then come back to us. That won't happen.
No.
Hang on.
No. I mean, I think one thing to keep in mind is that like you can't necessarily just like use a piece of copyrighted music, for example,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
but even then, like people do, and they don't take it down from Spotify. You just might get a letter from someone, so there's not, in order to get a podcast onto Spotify or onto Apple or whatever you're using, like there's no part of the fun of podcasting. Part of the reason there's 2 million podcasts registered right now is that anyone can do it. There's no one watching, right? There's no one like tells you that you can or can't do something. So I would suspect like a lot of the more like hobbyist or amateur podcasts that you see on online do have all kinds of copyrighted material in there that no one has bothered to contact them about. But if you're a company that's producing something for profit, you have to license footage, you have to make sure your music is yours to use. So but even then, like it's not that it's Apple or Spotify that's telling you that it's illegal, right? It's like some third party who knows about it and wants to stop you.
Okay. Vaani, do you have any questions here?
Are there any important considerations that we should have when we're launching a podcast? In terms of like, should we have a couple of episodes ready when we launch a new episode, or should we just like
wing it
take it like one episode? Yeah, wing it in.
I would recommend like doing a couple of demo sessions. It's like, it's just kind of amazing how much better you can get from having done 0 to having done 3. Like I just remember like when we started working on 5-4, the Supreme Court podcast I mentioned, as well as Celebrity Book Club, we recorded, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of 5-4 before we started airing them. And we really needed to, like, in order to find the rhythm of the show, in order to like kind of like hear how certain ideas we had going in sounded once we actually listened to them. I think it really helped make sure that our first public episode was strong and reflective of what we were trying to do. And same thing with Celebrity Book Club. In fact, they, the 2 hosts of that show, Stephen and Lily, like they had been working independently for a while and had been recording sessions of themselves talking about different celebrity memoirs for a couple of months, I think, when I came along. And even when I came along, I was, they were like raring to go. But I said to myself, like, since we're starting a new process here, like, yes, you guys have done these episodes, but like, since I'm coming in new, like, let's make a couple that we can use to experiment and like figure, without having to release them right away. Like, let's see how it goes and let's see what changes we want to make to the format or whatever. And we ended up like not really changing it at all, but, because they're perfect and can do no wrong in my eyes. But but I think it really helped. It really helped like sort of get comfortable to it. It made the first episode that we actually put out much better. I think much stronger. I'd recommend that.
Nice. I actually have a question there. It's like from the continuation of the discussion we were having on our last call about one of the reasons why we like YouTube is because you get so much constant feedback, and sometimes you get to know if it's working or not. But when you put something on, like, let's say a Spotify or an Apple, it's like you don't get attacked as much as you would have gotten attacked on, let's say, YouTube. So let's say even if I put a perfectly like amazing podcast on Apple or like Spotify and I send it to people, so people are like, it's just like it feels like I'm playing safe. This can be my blind spot, but this is what I feel. That is why first, like, we put Vaani's podcast also on YouTube. Hey, let's see how people are reacting to it. And then after 2-3 days, we put it on Spotify and Apple Music, because we are so YouTube friendly. And so many people from Chalchitra Talks are also coming on Second Last Supper, which is, by the way, our like podcast channel. Then it's just like, it doesn't feel right. Like I feel like I'm like trying to defend myself. I'm trying to be less exposed in a way. So is that something like, how do you know, like, do you get like feedbacks when you put something just on Apple Music or Spotify? Apple Podcast, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you're absolutely right that none of the podcast apps make it easy for listeners to just interact directly with the creator. On Apple Podcast, you could leave a review.
Yeah.
And it shows up after like a day or two, and then no one can respond to it. Doesn't have your, it's like, it is pretty like inert. And in fact, there's a moment recently where someone said something like addressing Stephen and Lily as a review on the Celebrity Book Club Apple podcast page. And it was like a question or something. And then she answered it on Twitter, but like hope, because that's the only place where she could respond to it. And she was just hoping that the person saw it, I guess. And just kind of like for me underscored how, it's a really like missed opportunity that there's no easy way for fans to interact. To me, it's like that's to me the problem with that is more that like I think it limits how quickly you can build a bond with your audience.
Absolutely. So why are they not introducing this? Why? I think it's a very conscious choice from both the Apples and the Spotify's. Why don't they do it?
I don't know. I've never really thought about why they don't do it. Maybe it has like something to do with. I don't know. Okay. It's true. I mean, I think, one thing we did with 5-4 recently is we started a Patreon, because we initially were, trying to make money off the show by selling advertising against it. And we were making like a little bit of money, but not really enough. And we realized that like we had this like, healthy sized audience, with real passion for the show. Like they really loved the hosts. They really like were, thought of them as their friends, but like we weren't really seeing any sort of financial upside from that. And so with Patreon, we're able to, invite our best, our biggest fans to subscribe for a small amount of money and, in return get extra episodes and get access to the hosts. And like initially when we were starting, my thought was like the main draw, like the main reason someone would be willing to pay $5 a month is that they want the extra episodes. But as it turns out, like one of the biggest draws was the fact that we, through Patreon, give people access to the hosts.
This is exactly what we do on Chalchitra also. We have 80 patrons right now. And so we have these WhatsApp groups where they can directly interact with us. So if someone becomes
we use Slack. We use Slack for that. Nice. It's like we have a Slack, and there's like 1,000 people in the Slack just talking about the podcast and other stuff. Like initially it was just they were talking about the podcast. Then they added a channel for skincare. Like it's just like pets. It's like totally. It's just their community. And it really just like makes it much more fun, I think, for everybody.
This is a realization, exact realization we also had. We thought like we'll give them the extra like the content, but people stay back for like the access to us. That is something we also felt. Yeah.
And then you also give them access to content that is yet not published or is out there for people, the general audience.
We've been just like putting 1 or 2 episodes per month behind the Patreon paywall. So like instead of releasing 4 episodes for free every month, we release 2 or 3 episodes for free and 1 or 2 episodes for only paying subscribers.
Okay. So Mr. Peanut Butter commented, Leon's background is very aesthetic.
It's just a rug. It looks like I'm on the floor, but it's just a rug on the wall.
I actually like the frames. Were there the frames above the rug?
Yeah.
Oh,
these are pictures. Yeah.
These are so cool. I like the white frame. Yeah. This is amazing. And I also want to talk about Clubhouse. Did you get a chance to use Clubhouse?
Yeah, I think I'm not your man for this one. Like I'm too old. I don't know, but it's like I just can't do another thing. Like I have enough things. Twitter's, I have enough things. Like the idea of listening to unedited conversations between people on Clubhouse is just like not appealing to me at all.
Oh yeah, and like, lately Clubhouse hasn't been doing very well. Like initially there was this buzz like where people were like it was invite only and everything, but lately the buzz has gone down and people are not as excited as they were initially.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people who are smarter and better at making money than me seem to believe in it. I feel like at Facebook and Google, so I can't really argue with them, but definitely not for me. Maybe my kids will be into it.
Okay. Because Vaani and I used to do one Clubhouse session every day until like last 2 weeks back, and it was just like we weren't doing it for the audience, but it was just like, hey, this is something cool, let's try to build an audience there. And it's just fading out. It's like the Googles and the Amazons and the Facebooks are so big, they don't, like you said, they don't want another platform right now. And yeah,
I feel
Now
like it's,
we
you know,
go there. Now we go on Clubhouse only when we need to rant or discuss something that's troubling us. So it has become sort of a therapy center.
And so how do you tell your fans about it? You just tweet about it or Instagram about it, saying we'll be on Club?
This is interesting because Clubhouse is just only just for the Apple users right now, and in India, like only I think 20% of the people use Apple, or maybe less than that. 80% are on Android. So it's just like we have like a little. Actually, we are not doing it for the traction on Clubhouse. Initially, we did those posts come on Clubhouse, and then we realized people don't even have an iPhone. So it's like so wrong of us to expect that they should come
to show up.
Yeah. And then we're like, hey, let's use it in some different way. So if 3 people show up, you have this very cool feature on Clubhouse where if they raise their hand, you can add them to your conversation. So let's say like the people who are watching right now, if someone says, hey, I want to join the conversation, and if then we join it, then if 4 people are talking, then 5 people are talking. That's the idea of Clubhouse, which is kind of like very good on paper, and like we also liked it, but I just wished it would have worked more. There's this another comment by someone. He has asked, is that Daniel Radcliffe? He's referring to you.
I've gotten that a lot over my life.
Oh man.
It's funny that I still get it. I kind of thought that I'd grown out of looking like him, or maybe he's gotten older. But no, when I was in high school, and the books were still being published. I believe it was like the second to last book. Like in my hometown, I grew up outside of Chicago. In my hometown, like a suburb, there was like a big block party the night that the new book was coming out, and so they had rides and people. Food, and they were going to sell the book at midnight. And so I was hired by a bookstore to stand outside and dress like Harry Potter and take photos with kids because I looked so much like him.
This is so good.
That's nice.
And there's this comment by Yash Gupta. Ask Leon if he had to make a podcast on the rug on the back of his wall, what would be the main paints he would consider including. Paints? Does he actually mean paints, or like this might help?
I don't think I understand the question.
Yeah, I did not. Like, Vaani, did you see the last one?
I don't understand the question actually. Yeah, me neither.
Is he talking
he had
about
to make a podcast?
Yeah, I think he wants background?
I think he's talking about the rug in his background, and he says that if you were to make a podcast on the rug on his back wall, what would be the main points? I think what would be the main points? Autocorrected itself to paints, but what would be the main points that you would consider?
If I had to make a podcast about the rug, I would probably make it about my wife and I's like joint effort of decorating our apartment. Because we always sort of either get excited about the same thing, or sometimes she'll introduce something, I think like this rug, where I am not involved, and she brings it home and I say, well, we should have talked about this. And then she's like, just trust me. And then we put it, and it's obviously beautiful because she has very good taste. So that's probably what I would make it about.
Yeah. So people actually like, since what we do in like the Joe Rogan style of doing podcasts, video podcasting. So I think that is what he meant. Ki, hey, if this is your frame and you have to do a podcast, what are the things I need to take care of? Because I love this podcast called Talking Sopranos. Like where these, have you seen it?
Yes. Sorry, my dog is growling. That's why I put myself on mute.
What's his/her name? Like
his name is Mickey, like the mouse.
Mickey. Yeah. Mickey's so cute.
So I actually, it's funny you mentioned that. This the one that's like Bobby Bacala, Chris, right? I don't know the actors' names, but it's just like them. Yeah. So it's just like them talking to each other and like guests about a specific episode every week, right?
Every episode, one after the other. Yeah.
And it goes for like 4 hours, right? It's like 3 or 4 hours.
They're long.
So okay, so I actually asked like on Twitter, because I found out about this, and I actually just finished rewatching all the Sopranos. So I was like, oh, like I would love to listen to this, but I can't do a 3-hour podcast. I can't do a 4-hour podcast. Like, and my question is like, do the people who listen to it, and I think there are a lot, I think it's super popular. Would they like prefer a 45-minute version that was edited by someone? Or do they like that it's 3 hours and it's kind of rambling and like, I just don't know, like, because my instinct would be like, you got to cut that down from 3 hours to 45 minutes, just take the best parts and cut out everything else. But I think like it's possible that there's an audience of people who want the like just stimulation of just like hanging out with them, and that therefore don't care about,
because I have a interesting take here also, because Vaani and I started doing live streams like about 1 year back, and I was like this Mr. Perfectionist, like hey, everything has to be edited, no video on Chalchitra should be like 10 minutes like or longer, or like everything has to be like cut down to the beat and everything. We did our first live stream, it was pathetic. Like we struggled with so many things, like people did not show up, it was bad, and we were like, how will we do it? But I was like, so the idea of doing these things unedited is you are showing your true self to the people, like my fumbles, people know like how I speak, what are the words I fumble at. So people actually like that, and like some like fans like that, and they connect more with you. Like they would want to know, like if I release the edited version, what was the director's cut, like the unedited version, like, and they always want the longer version. Some people are actually also angry with us, hey, you talk like this, you should like streamline it more, you should always have topics. But there are certain set of people, that is why live streams have become such a big thing, I guess. Like people are playing games, they just like being like in the comfort, like people just open that like live stream and they sleep. Someone playing Call of Duty and they sleep like next to it. It's just because we have become so lonely. So Vaani and I have been running Chalchitra for last 1 year. We haven't even met each other. Like I don't know if like Vaani like is this tall or not, like what, I don't know. We just work on Zoom, and it's very crazy because we just do our thing on Zoom, like we do our meetings on Zoom. Sometimes we are like, hey, just come on Zoom and let's work together. So people actually like when you give them the endpoint to that thing. That is why I think like they would want to listen to like those fumbles. That is when like those things happen, when Elon Musk smoked weed on the podcast. Because I was watching it live. That was the first time I'd woken up to watch a podcast live. I was shaking as I was like texting people, just like you don't know what's happening, because it's so difficult to explain to people. That was like the BC2.
It felt like you were watching like a really like amazing.
Yeah, like I got the payoff. I got the payoff for the 2.5 hours that I had put inside like this podcast. I got the payoff.
But this is the thing, like, and I know the two of you must relate to this, since you're seemingly so voracious in terms of like your cultural consumption. Like seems like you're constantly reading and watching films and watching TV shows, and listening. You're just like very omnivorous, right? But like to me, I like never have enough time to like absorb, to consume all the movies and books and stuff that I want. And so the idea of like using precious time to like on something so that's so sort of like over long, it feels like I just like can't afford it,
Is that the like a tricky question? Is that also the producer side of you speaking? Like let's say, because by profession I am a director, so if every time I see a very entertaining Masi film, I'm like, hey, please don't do that, please don't. And my friends are like, just enjoy it, dude. Just enjoy like the whole Bollywoodish things that they have tried to do, where like people are like, when someone kicks someone, the person flows into the air, and I'm like, I can't enjoy it because this is insult to what I do. So is that the producer side of you also like not letting you enjoy something because it's occupational hazard? Is that something?
I think for sure, I think that's part of it. I think like I've also become like, it's like much harder for me to listen to a narrative podcast,
because your mind would be like, hey, this should be cut, like why is it there?
Yeah, exactly. And so actually when I'm like in the thick of working on a season of Fiasco, like I generally don't listen to a lot of podcasts at all, just because like I need to turn off that part of my brain. Um, so I end up listening to like more music or actually more chat sometimes, because chat shows I also don't like edit in my head. Um, but yeah, I definitely, I think I'm more critical now, having made some podcasts than I would have been before.
Yeah, and v- I think most of the people listen to podcasts when they decide not to listen to music. In It's just like, otherwise, when do you listen to a podcast? Like, I'm at my home, I'm not traveling. Otherwise, when I'm traveling, I would listen to it then. When people are in a lockdown, they're at their homes. When do any of us listen to a podcast? I genuinely want the answer to that, because I don't know how do I take out time for a podcast. Should I be doing something, or should I be not doing anything? Like,
Well, I actually think that podcasts, like part of the reason narrative serialized podcasts took off in America is that like they have a you can listen to them, you know, during times when you can't be reading or watching a film. Like you're walking your dog. Like that's when I listen to podcasts a lot. I walk my dog 4 times a day. When you're doing dishes, when you're, you know, doing, you know, walking to work, or in, you know, taking the subway to work or whatever. I think there's certain times of day that that as a podcast producer you can access in people's lives that, you know, are harder for them to use on something like reading or watching a film. And so I think there's that, it's part of the advantage I think you have as a podcaster, is that you just people can take it in at a time when they want something and can't really do something else.
and when do you listen to music?
I go through phases like of listening to a lot of music and then not listening to music almost at all. Like in the car, I generally love listening to music if I'm driving, which is not often. Like I live in New York, I barely ever drive. But um, uh, sometimes, like if it's a Saturday, I'll like put on, and I'm just sitting around the house with my wife. We'll put on music. Um, and then like, you know, I used to do this a lot more than I do now, just because I've gotten older. But um, just like hearing or seeing that someone put out a new song or a new album that I like, I'm desperate to hear. I'll like make a point of listening to it. And now you know, I have like a couple of friends who are super deep into pop music, and like they're very early on a lot of stuff, and they can kind of like be my guides to like what is important and interesting that's new. And so I kind of rely on them as my like filter now.
Okay. Uh, I actually have so for me, I want to listen to podcasts for self-improvement. That is why I like Tim Ferriss a lot. Like, you give me something, it has to be productive, because I don't want to spend time otherwise listening to any random things. I recently started listening to this podcast by Sam Harris, Waking Up. Like the guy who wrote this book, and like about, like, he calls these people and he talks about everything related to meditation and spirituality. Are there any things in the realm of meditation? Can I use podcast as a meditation technique? Like, it just calms me down, it slows everything down. Like, people are actually talking about these techniques. Anything related to meditation or something? Would you have any recommendations?
Kave's a heady.
Nice, nice.
No, but people have told me that they find his
It
stories
is,
very like
yeah,
kind of almost like ASMR
yeah.
a little bit. But It's not really my area, but like I don't really know about meditation, but I don't know. There's like meditation apps where it's like people telling stories. It's like
Yeah.
you see like meditation apps advertising like, oh, we have like Matthew McConaughey like telling, it's like, and so I guess that's kind of like a podcast. But it's just, I guess it's supposed to just like put you to sleep or put you in a trance. But yeah, I don't really know much about that.
Okay, but I do you like the Vani? Please.
I was just saying he just launched his YouTube channel as well, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And he started with all right. Like, he's like the
yeah.
these were the first 3 words I ever said on like the film screen. So let's start with that. And yeah, this is interesting because I want to talk about ASMR also. like the ASMR podcast, like mainly like for me it was like a revelation to know people have that much difficulty in going to sleep that they have to use a thing that like
Yes.
sorry Vani, what are you saying, Vani?
I was actually saying the same thing, that it was a revelation for, like, when we launched the podcast, there were so many people who appreciated the fact that the voice is so nice, they can probably use it to go to sleep. And that's when you realized, okay, maybe
People
this is
have
another reason
trouble,
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
People
I mean, I myself use the sound of rain, storm, and everything to go to sleep whenever I'm anxious. And then it was a new revelation that maybe people listen to podcasts when they go to sleep.
Yeah, but it's always a an awkward compliment to give to someone, to say, "I love your podcast. I just fall right asleep when I listen to
it." Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you would think, hey, did he just? You'd realize it like seconds later. There's this yeah, like Leon, do you want to add anything else to that?
I was gonna ask, have there been multi-episode narrative podcasts in India that are like journalistic or historical, like that people have really gotten obsessed with?
Vaani.
I'm not sure if they've gotten obsessed with such podcasts, but there are such podcasts that exist. I'm not sure if I don't remember the names, but there are certain podcasts that are dedicated to history. And the only way I discover podcasts staying in India is through the recommendations I get on Apple Podcasts. That's it. I don't see anyone actively engaging in recommending podcasts as such. So yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Are there people that who are based in India who are popular and reaching in like people in India?
I think Vaibhav, you might have a better answer to that, because there are a couple of YouTube. So in India, I think the podcast community that works the best is the one that have a good balance between YouTube and Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And maybe Vaibhav, you can add to that.
Yeah, like there's this guy Beer Biceps. He has this podcast. It's like the Ranveer podcast, like where he gets. It's a very conversational kind of a thing. But I have a podcast to recommend. I'm so sorry, I'm taking a segue, but like I just got reminded of this podcast. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's by a friend. His name is Abhinandan. So he has done something very smart. Okay, so he hates his voice. So what he does is every time he gets someone, and he speeds up the podcast by 1.75x, and it looks like two kids are talking to each other, and they are talking about philosophy and everything. Hey, did you know that Charles Bukowski did that? And I'm like, dude, this is so good. Like it's something about on the lines of late night talks or something. Hey you up, like every podcast starts with these three words, hey you up. Abhinandan, he is also the writer of Little Things along with Dhruv Sehgal. So I just loved the idea so much. Even when if you hate your voice, you just speed up the thing and like something new comes out of it. I know. Like, do you know such any weird podcast, Leon? Like, tell us some very weird podcasts, guys. There is like just surprise us. Do you know there is this podcast where people do this? Because there must be like people doing weird shit all the time.
Yeah, I think I've become like too. I think I'm not at the cutting edge of experimental audio. You know, like there's people who are, I think, trying stuff like on the margins and not necessarily in view of the public, because they're just like, they're mostly interested in experimenting. And I think the podcasts that sort of like I end up listening to tend to be more, I guess, like conservative. I don't mean that politically, obviously. I just mean like they're working in established forms. You know, they fit into one of those three categories I was saying earlier. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, this sounds like I'm being so self-serving today, but like to me, like part of why I love the Kaveh podcast is that it's so different than anything else. Like, you know, it's not particularly like idiosyncratic. You know, it's just a guy. It's one voice telling a very simple story over the course of a few minutes. It's not like it's kind of weird even to call that experimental, but the fact remains, like, it doesn't really resemble much of what else people are listening to. And so that's part of what's sort of invigorating to me about it, and why I was so excited to work on it. It's like, it just doesn't fit any like pre-existing shape, whereas like the other stuff I do, like, there's a certain, like with Fiasco, like we just sort of have our own idiom or like our own rules, that we follow as we make the show. But it's not like an experimental undertaking. I don't think its purpose is to be really broadly legible and broadly accessible. And so, I think some of the weirder stuff that like you might imagine, like it's possible it just doesn't cross my radar,
Yeah. I want to pick up another question by Cinephile Buddy from the comments. I may sound dumb, forgive me, but what's the difference between a podcast and an interview?
I would just say, like, an interview is just one form that a podcast can take, right? So, like I was saying before, like you could have a podcast where it's like the same four people who have a conversation every week. You call that a roundtable conversation, a roundtable podcast. You could have a narrative documentary style podcast. That's, what Fiasco is. Or you could have an interview based podcast where every week, the host talks to a different person. But you could publish an interview in print, right? You could publish an interview as a video. All it is means, just if you're saying that something is a podcast interview, all you mean is it was an audio interview that was recorded and is being distributed through RSS primarily, that it's distributed through the particular infrastructure that exists for people to publish audio. That's all. I think. Does that make sense? Or does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. There's another comment by Yash Gupta. It's very interesting. He has recommended a podcast to us. There is a podcast by Thoraya. I might be pronouncing it wrongly. For each episode, she sits on a park bench and people come to her and talk about random things, their life experiences and stuff. Really interesting. I love these ideas, dude. Like I'm just thinking for a while, what if someone starts a podcast with their dog or their cat, like when they're feeding them, and it's just like conversations with my dog or conversations with my... Like, you can do anything. You can just break the rules, and you have given me the validation. I can use like the sounds, and like, hey, I can. Yeah.
Reminds me.
Go ahead, Vaani.
This reminds me of a book that I actually came across quite recently at a bookstore, and said how to teach philosophy to your dog.
Yeah.
And it has like literal lessons and chapters divided into how your dog will react and how you're going to teach him all the philosophy that you otherwise read in a class. It's very interesting.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought of a podcast maybe to recommend that's much weirder than most of what I get to hear. It's called Everything is Alive. Are you guys familiar with this? It's a guy, he interviews objects, and the objects are played by actors or friends of his.
Oh man.
So he interviews it. Yeah, you should check it out. I think you'll really like it. Everything is Alive. It's really good.
This reminds me of, so we used to, like when we studied Hindi in school, I don't know Vaibhav if you had it, we used to get this, you had to personify every object and you had to write an autobiography inspired by the object. So you used to pretend to be a coin or a rose or an object, and you used to write your own autobiography.
Yeah, it's really similar. Yeah. Yeah, you should check it out. It's good.
Yeah, Kaveh also did this one thing where people used to get stoned and they used to talk to each other. That was also very, very wonderful.
Yeah.
Getting
stoned with Kaveh. Yeah.
Getting stoned with Kaveh. Vishal has commented, I used to listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Host talks with caller for an hour about anything caller wants to talk about. Had really fun episodes. Yeah, guys, keep telling us of all these weird or like very unique form of podcasts that you might know of. Akash Agarwal just became a patron. Thank you so much, Akash. And please write to like us, Vaibhav@chalchitratalks.com. Just like drop us an email and I'll add you to all the WhatsApp groups and everything. Sorry, Leon, I have to do this for a second. I have a new patron. So yes, and we'll give you all the perks. Like just write to us, Akash, there. Thank you so much, Akash. Yeah, coming back to the conversation, we were talking about these interesting podcasts that Roger Deakins, the guy, like the cinematographer, he started his own podcast sometime back. Like it's like doing very very good. We had Mr. Peter Gold, who is the creator of Better Call Saul, on our channel like some time back. He had recommended Lex Friedman to us, and I have been recommending Lex Friedman to everyone since then. He is really good. He talks about AI. He has had Elon Musk on his podcast, but again very conversational, not in the narrative zone. He also, for the 100th episode, he had his father, and like they were sitting together, and it was a 3 hour long conversation. And towards the end, he asked his father, do you think you were a good dad? And he gives some very philosophical answer to it. It's a very beautiful episode. So I love these things, like where people just put out everything about themselves in their little podcasts.
Do the two of you think of your audience as being primarily in India, or do you think of people elsewhere too?
Even if I think if they are like somewhere else, also mostly they are Indians only right now. Because most of like at least 5 to 8% of our people are US based or UK based, something like that. But mostly people are they are like NRIs or like Indians living in other countries. Is that something we should try to change, like to expand and like other?
No, not at all. But I do think the fact that that most of your stuff is in English means that you could be reaching people elsewhere.
We just don't know it. If you guys like watch our stuff from, let's say, any cool like if you watch our stuff from overseas, just comment, guys. Like I don't know, we'll be like very happy to know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's, if you weren't speaking in English, like obviously you couldn't be simultaneously reaching most Americans, but the fact that you are, it just means that it just means I don't think you should be necessarily trying to, but like it would just be it wouldn't be a hard side effect, I think.
Absolutely. My friend recently wrote this show. It's called Little Things. So he told me what was his ambition with Little Things. It released on Netflix. The next season is also coming on Netflix. So he was like, since it's coming on Netflix now, it will be going all over the world. So he's like, my dream with Little Things now is like some family in Iceland sees my show and they just call me up for dinner, and I do a bonfire with them. And then when the show releases, like, hey, no one has contacted me from Iceland. I'm so disappointed. But it's like we think like people when our distribution like increases, people will reach out to us. So it's interesting. There's this comment by Hindal. He is our teammate and a patron. We have a funny one from India called Our Last Week, where hosts talk about mundane conundrums of life and blow them out of proportion. Blow them out of proportion if their lives depend on it.
What's it called?
Our Last Week.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really nice. And are there some topics that like you would like to talk about? Because I know we are like becoming very self-indulgent with some of the things.
I had a very silly question, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a very silly question. Is there anything that you get tired of being a podcast producer? Is this something that bothers you a lot?
Recording. So, I mean, especially this past year. So I'll show you where I record all my narration.
Very nice.
This is my closet. And so, can you see that? I sit that's the microphone. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's the mic, and that's I sit with my back to the closet. And so, I'm just it's just I have to just repeat all the script stuff so many times because I don't know, I tend to stumble a lot when I talk. I'm not the most natural orator. I certain sounds that are hard for me to say sometimes. And so I just end up having to record for 5 to 7 hours sometimes in there. And it just it's very physically exhausting. That's what I hate the most.
But you have a very nice house. It's really nice.
But I naturally speak a lot faster than I have to, when I'm recording, some narration for Fiasco, just to make sure that people can hear what I'm saying. anyway, that's part of like I like consistently don't look forward to in the process. The other thing I really hate doing is, and this has come up a couple of times in the past year because of the pandemic, because we've basically had to like learn how to record people at high quality in their homes, like basically having to get them to record themselves. Right. So like usually without a pandemic, you could like send a producer to someone's house, or you can, invite the guest to a studio, or you can, basically like it's on you to make the recording sound good. But because we're all in separate places, it's really on us to like train the person to like tell them like what kind of room they should be in to get not have an echoey sound, or try to cover your head with a blanket, or it's just like, and then we also have to get them to record on their phones. And so they're the ones who are like having to get it right. And so there's always this moment at the end of an interview where it's like, did they actually record themselves? Like, are they going to be able to send it to us? Like, and a lot of times people who we interview, because it's a history show, are like in their 80s, and so they're not the most like native users of technology. And so it's always like really scary for that moment. Like, are they going to actually send us the tape? And the reason I explain that is that my actually least favorite thing to do is having to redo interviews. That if we lose one for some reason, and it has happened a couple of times where like we just like it didn't record, or the quality was bad, and we just had to do it again. And that's like always really painful for me. Whenever like I lose work and then I have to redo it, I feel it like it crushes me.
I was very fascinated with that small thing you said. And I think Vaani also got attention to that. Like when you said you just put the blanket over your face and record it. Tell us about these tricks, because we are putting out so much content. Tell us, Master. Like, we need this stuff, because what are some of these tricks which people can take care of while recording from their homes? We just know the basic ones, turn off your AC and everything. But like the blanket ones and everything, we need to know those. Please tell us.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just writing a message to my producer. I have to get off in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to avoid in recording is echo primarily. And I think like a lot of us like live in rooms where there's not necessarily like, there's not necessarily carpet, or there's not necessarily like, there's too many windows, or maybe there's bare, the walls are bare, so like sound bounces off of them really easily. And so the ideal room to record in is one where there's a lot of clutter, like a lot of just books around, or maybe rugs and carpets and pillows and a couch, and soft things that like a closet, like basically where the sound can absorb instead of bouncing. And so that's like a big step, I think, just choosing the right room in order to set yourself up. Another thing is buying a basic but good microphone. There's a lot of USB mics on the market now. I can't also recommend one, but it's pretty easy to find recommendations for kind of basic, like pretty affordable USB microphones. And then there's other sort of small things that's my dog. There's other small things you can do to make sure that you're sounding as good as you can, like making sure that you're about a fist away from the microphone and not like right up close to it, so that you're not, going into overdrive.
Sorry,
and getting your voice distorted.
I missed this one. So
just like, so like with my mic, I have like a filter that's attached to it. So like when I make sounds like puh, buh, like where pops,
the pops,
like
pops.
Yeah. And so we have a filter. It's like a cheap filter that blocks the pops basically. And so I want to be about a fist, a fist away from the filter, which is about a fist away from the mic. That usually gives me pretty good volume.
Oh, this is so cool.
But there's like a lot of like really great resources for like learning how to do this stuff online. Like if your listeners are interested in experimenting with podcasting, there's an amazing website called transom.org, which just has like tons of guides, like for like all sorts of different, aspects of podcast production. So the resources are definitely out there to like kind of learn the basics.
This is so cool.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. we also like the tricks you mentioned for audio, like we are also trying to like take care of such things for video also. Like we tell this like thing to every person who comes on our stream. Hey, do you know you can actually like right now you are using your laptop, right, for the like this thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just tell you this one very interesting thing. Maybe you already know about it, but like I did not. Like it's very interesting. So I use a MacBook Pro, and MacBook Pros have shitty webcams, very bad webcams. And so what is happening is, as the MacBooks are evolving, they are getting thinner. So the webcams, they are not upgrading them. They are always 720p, or even if they are 1080p, they're bad. But whereas all the iPhones, the cameras are getting better and better. So there are these apps like Epoch Cam and Camo, where you can use your mobile phone as the webcam. So Vaani and I both are talking through our laptops, but our phones are connected and we are using our phones as webcams. So right now, this is my phone, the quality, and this is my latest MacBook.
Wow.
The difference is that much.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, like this has been a game changer for us in regard to streaming online.
Well, so I mean, this is like actually like I think an important point, which is that like small like improvements in quality, like you could argue like it doesn't really matter if it's echoey, or if it doesn't really matter if you're a little bit fuzzier than you might otherwise be. But I actually think like in podcasting and in all kinds of like digital, media like this, like it's all those little things really add up.
Yeah.
And like you don't even a listener or a viewer might not even necessarily know that they like don't like something because it's flawed in all these little ways, but like they won't know that that's why. Maybe but they just won't like it as much, and so I think like it makes it, or like with interviews that we do, sometimes like for whatever reason, like we just can't get good sound, and you can still hear what the person's saying, like it's fine, but like it's just the person's voice doesn't come through as richly, and so they just don't come across as real as they could. And so I think like all those little imperfections, like sometimes I question like whether they're worth worrying about, but because each one on its own is so small, but I really feel like they add up. And so I think like something like camera quality is like a great example. It's like it would have never occurred to me, to reflect on whether your video was good, but like it makes probably a difference in cumulatively. So I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, and the thing you said about sound, I have a filmmaker friend, like his name is Devashish Makhija. He's a very accomplished filmmaker in India. He says this one thing which is great saying. Like he said, when you make a film, your video is still two-dimensional, your sound is three-dimensional. So always pay more attention to your sound. And that has always stayed with me, because when we are putting out video content, I always tell, when people say, hey, I want to record something for Chalchitra Talks, I'm like, hey, just record normally. It's okay if your video is bad, but just make sure your audio is not bad, because people can still make do with bad video. They cannot make do with bad audio.
Yep, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I have to get off. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, that is thanks for doing this, Leon. Like I hope we can like do this sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and guys, like do follow Leon. We have like put up the link to his Twitter handle in the description. So do check out all his work. And thank you so much for joining us.
Cool. All right. Bye. Great to see you.
Bye, Leo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Vaani, what's up?
This is so good.
Yeah, this was really fun after a very long time.
Am I stuck?
No, you are not stuck. After a very long time, like we are doing like a Friday stream where we also had a guest, and we are.
Yes.
This is so cool. Yeah.
When he said something about blankets, I was like, shit, will I have to take out the blanket and like sit in यहाँ पर इतनी गर्मी हो रही है, and I was like,
no, I was like,
this is great.
The moment he said it, he's like, he's dropping gold, like such wonderful things like here. So I need to ask him about this. So yeah, I'm glad he told us these little facts. We know these, but like you forget, like just Sagar has commented, one nice tip is that if people might if some might know this, but if you don't have a filter, you can use your chai ki channi and speak through it, holding it in front of your mouth. This is so cool, dude.
Really? I didn't know that.
ये काफी ज़्यादा cool था. And yeah, man. But guys, did you like today's podcast? Today's episode? We are planning to, Vaani and I now have changed the format of our Friday streams a little. We will do this like our talks also, but we will also get guests where we talk to them and like learn from them and learn about their journeys. And do tell us ki would you be interested in this? But like this is something we'll be trying for a while now. Which is a mix of like information plus meditation. I think a good combo for living life.
And we'll get to learn a lot as well.
Yeah, that's
hopefully, from our new guests.
Yeah. So this is amazing. Yash Gupta is saying ki he said it as a joke.
I think he said it as
no, but like I wouldn't be surprised.
But like, I'll tell you what, even like chai ki channi has very wide margins. Even I think like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Yeah. It's just
people are mocking us and it's crazy.
हाँ मतलब इतनी serious बात चल रही थी तो I'm like, oh, this is cool. नहीं, but like I trust Sagar यार, वो बंदा मेरे को सही लगता है. Like I think yeah. Neezy recorded his first song with a channi. Channi thing is accurate, dude. Yeah.
Nice.
Channi thing is accurate. And guys, एक और cool चीज़ बताता हूँ आप लोगों को. Fuck man, like this is my third recording of the day. We are creating so much content for you. So Tayyab and I did a recording with Dr. Chandra this afternoon. He is a consultant physician and like he's an amazing doctor. And we talked to him about COVID and the second wave and the things we can do to like take care of right now. And it's a conversation which is coming out tomorrow. So definitely check that out. And yeah, Sagar is saying it's accurate. See, I trust Sagar. I'm like, yeah, he wouldn't give us false information. Thanks, Sagar. Thank you so much. So yeah, so our conversation to Dr. Chandra is coming out tomorrow. You might have seen a video of Dr. Chandra on Instagram. It has more than 5 million views now, where he's talking about this new mutant which has come in the virus, and like how if you are COVID negative also, you might be COVID positive with this new second degree mutant that has come now. So that is
I was reading about a third mutant
as well.
Mutant as well.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy.
It's getting crazy, guys. Just take care of yourselves. And Anandita just commented, this was great. Yeah, we are here for a while. We'll talk now. We really get a chance to do these one-on-one streams like these days because we are creating so much content for you. Vaani also released her new podcast today. It's about her birthday. Vaani ka birthday tha kal, and if you guys missed that stream, you should check that out. She revealed some of her childhood photos in that and they are like super cool. And Vaani ka naya podcast hai about her birthday. Vaani ka naya birthday hai. And she also released a new blog today. Interestingly, I have been told Vaani का आज 1 year anniversary हुई है complete Chalchitra Talks में. So it's very
I have an interesting story about that as well, which I reveal in the blog.
Yeah. So you should check out the blog. Jibin or Vishal, any of our moderators, if you can put the link of Vaani's new podcast and her new blog in the comments below, please do so, guys. Request kar do team ko and like that will come there. Or I'll join you in 2 minutes. I'll get my coffee and like
sure.
You can take it from there. Just give me 2.5 minutes.
Great.
Chalo.
Great. I'm so glad Vaibhav left his headsets. Now we can. Like, there's just one thing you guys need to comment. Like, oh, Vaibhav, when did you do that? And it'll be so fun when he comes back. He'll think we bitched about him. I think better than that. But yeah, I actually it's been a year. I actually in the blog I spoke about how I joined the community. Until then, please, I'll tell you a story, but like please post in the comments like, oh, Vaibhav, you never told us about that or things like that. But yeah, Vaibhav called me up a year ago. And I thought he's actually calling me to wish me a belated happy birthday because my birthday was yesterday. And last year I thought he's calling me to wish a belated happy birthday when he said, um, hey, I want to start a book recommendation thing on the channel because it's the World Book Day. Do you mind joining us? Something like that, but very politely and very nicely. And I speak about that in the blog post. If you haven't read the blog post, please check it out. हमने YouTube community पे post किया है, and do let me know what your comments are, because I don't know, we are putting so much of ourselves out there that sometimes it just feels nice to get a feedback, which is positive, of course, and even negative. But it just feels nice to get a positive feedback or a feedback in general, to realize that, and to actually genuinely realize that people are reading what we are posting out there, or people are actually noticing what we are doing out there, because so much of our own being goes out there. But hey, Muhammad is like on the right track. Vaibhav, I can't imagine you do that. This is so nice. Thank you so much, Ding Dong. That's a weird username, to be honest, but that's nice. My thoughts on board exams in the pandemic, to be honest, I gave my board exams when I was in 2012. So I'm like 2013, I guess. I'm just, no wait, 2014, dude, 2014, and I'm just, nobody should go through the same stress and anxiety. But yeah, this is nice. Yeah, Prithvi, Yash, all of you are like, this is so nice. Yeah, there should be more of it when Vaibhav comes back. He's back. Yeah, so Vaibhav did that, and it was really. Oh shit, he's back. Oh.
What the fuck is this? One second. बाहर बहुत अच्छी हवा चल रही है. Vaani is like, yeah, I played a prank. She has that happy face. Yeah. So
it's not a prank, dude.
Yeah. I'm just so happy right now. Our channel has been doing so good since like last few days. Every time it's like, it's just good right now. I'm like touch wood, but yeah, अच्छा लगता देख के कि when the मेहनत pays off, and this is nice. So let's also talk about Shoe Dog Vaani. I need some motivation because I haven't picked it up in a while. I need motivation, like just to finish it. Like it's like, because I am at a stage where I enjoyed the first 80% of it so much that,
yeah.
Is there more conflict in the book in the last 50-80 pages?
Where have you reached? Where have you reached?
स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं यार, क्या बात कर.
I'm sorry.
हाँ क्या
Good.
करा क्या है वैभव, नहीं तो बता क्या हुआ.
Zaki will have to like go back, like on your left, press the, I don't know, go back like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like
do but you, no, like
shall the last, we also call Zaki?
Yeah, that'll be great. We can talk about Vaibhav ne kiya kya hai aakhir.
Let me just send him the, like people were commenting during the Leon stream. Leon the professional.
Where is Zaki bhai? Zaki bhai kahan hai?
Leon. हाँ, मैं Zaki को भेज रहा हूँ. अरे Zaki.
I'll just be back. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. मैं Zaki को इसलिए लाता हूँ, ये सुपर चैट्स बढ़ जाती हैं Zaki के आने से. Yeah. So Zaki, आ जाओ भाई, आपको लिंक भेजते हैं. Shit, I look so bad in the close up. Okay. Yeah guys, 5 more likes to 100. Hey nice, जल्दी से 100 कर दो guys. आई मेरे को लगा you'll be gone for longer. It's disappointing. इतनी Vaani ठीक है easy. Yeah. The end of Shoe Dog was the best part, I guess. Okay, so that excited me now. Zaki का मैसेज है, मैंने उसको भेजा, मार्केट इज एक्टिव, कांट. इट्स लाइक अभी मम्मा पापा घर पे, अभी नहीं मिल सकते. He's like marketers active. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but this must be like, because everyone stays at home right now. Like, remember when we were kids and um we used to have the luxury of, I don't know, a few things that I think aaj ki generation is missing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like we are missing out on a lot
It's
of
very,
things. We are
yeah,
missing out on a lot of things.
everyone is, and it's
Yeah.
very,
या गाइस, अगर आप हमारे नए सब्सक्राइबर हो, क्योंकि हमारे पिछले कुछ दिनों में बहुत सारे नए लोग आए हैं, बता देते हैं एक चैनल है चलचित्र टॉक्स जो हम लोग रन करते हैं एंड इसमें हम रिकमेंडेशंस देते हैं मूवीज, म्यूजिक, बुक्स. वी टुडे हैड लाइक लियोन विद अस. लाइक लियोन एक पॉडकास्ट प्रोड्यूसर है, सो ही आल्सो गिव सम वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पॉडकास्ट रिलेटेड like tips and like recommendations. It was very very fun. So yeah, that is there. And दो तीन लोगों ने कह दिया शू डॉग की एंडिंग बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छी है, so I'll get back to
it
it.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I know thoda sa, like, so what happens in Shoe Dog is when you are done reading when they win the case, you're like, fuck it. And you're so happy, like, iske baad kya ho sakta hai?
Yeah.
But then you actually learn about how he made everything fall into place, that it's just very, like, this is what he wanted for those guys.
Yeah.
And it becomes all the more like a very beautiful experience. Like, everything comes back in a circle and you're like, hey.
This is very nice because there were legit moments in Shoe Dog where I got goosebumps, and I'm so
I
happy.
cried in
Yeah.
some place. Like, I had tears in my eyes.
I'm so happy we picked this up. I'm so happy Vaani picked up a non-fiction like book, dude. Like I get so it's like and I don't know. अभी कुछ दिन पहले Vaani and I did this Clubhouse because I was like, hey, just be free. एक दिन Clubhouse करते हैं because I have been reading Calvino again and I'll start crying if I talk about it. जकी कमेंट क्यों कर रहा है? मार्केट संभालना जाके. ये क्या बात होती है कि मैं यहाँ नहीं आ सकता? या तो प्रेजेंस शो मत करो, जाके कमेंट भी करेगा. नहीं नहीं, मतलब मैं यहाँ नहीं आऊँगा, मैं एक्टिव भी रहूँगा. या चलचित्र की मार्केट आप पर बहुत ज़्यादा डिपेंड करता है जकी भाई. Sorry, I just saw it.
I begged for a Mr. Peanut Butter reveal on my live stream on my birthday.
Yeah. We all were seeing your live stream.
And I was like, will he reveal it? Because मेरा birthday है यार.
तुमने
still did not.
तुम बलून क्यों नहीं बर्स्ट करना चाहती थी? It was such a crazy idea and I was like, और वानी ने ऐसे बलून
मिली ना सुपर चैट के लिए.
पर तुम इतना
I just felt bad for the friends who had like blown the balloons, taken out the time to blow air into the balloon.
Now I know the whole story, so yeah.
And also like because when the balloon burst, you're like, like it
and
just
you were like कि मतलब वानी तो ऐसे how to get away with murder का पूरा स्क्रिप्ट लिख सकती है. ये लो, ये तो रोज का है मेरा. Yeah, it is great, yaar. So yeah, reading Calvino again and oh my fucking god, like it's oh fuck, it's here. One second, I just have it here. Like I found that
I honestly thought after Leon's what was the name of his friend?
Leon the Professional.
I thought Dobby is going to be here.
Mickey.
It's here.
Mickey.
After Mickey, I thought you're genuinely referring to Dobby. I was like, Dobby's going to be here.
No. I was referring to.
He is here.
Yeah. Dobby's a she, but like yeah.
Dobby's a she.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
नहीं. Dobby के इंस्टा पे अभी pronouns डालने हैं हमें. Like we will put them. Yeah, she has.
I've started putting pronouns in my like whenever you send out emails.
Yeah, that was such a great idea. Like वो मेरे को इतना सही लगा था कि the importance of pronouns. Yeah, it's good. I am a wannabe reader trying to be a real one. Hope your videos will help me. Thank you so much, Varun Sharma.
Of course, you should start with this book that Vaibhav is going to show us.
Yeah, it's not an easy read. Don't start with this. Yeah,
but it's still a beautiful read.
It's a fucking beautiful read. You will cry like anything. Start with Shoe Dog. Yeah.
Shoe Dog.
I'm legit reading this story called The Form of Space, where people are falling out of space. There are 3 people. they are on parallel lines and the guy is like उसके जो side वाली parallel line है उस पे there's this woman, like her name is Ursula, and he's like कि I want to meet her, but he's like that's like I will never be able to meet her. There's this very shitty guy on the third end, so these people are falling parallelly out of space and they are like कि हम कैसे एक दूसरे को action करते रहते just to talk to each other, but the woman is like just like दोस्त खुद को संवार रही होती है तो उनको भाव नहीं दे रही होती, but this guy is like dreaming I'll meet her, and then he's like but we are on parallel lines, so he's like I still have the hope of meeting her at infinity because parallel lines intersect at infinity. And then he's like उसका वो thought खराब हो जाता है क्योंकि he's like but इस parallel lines जब infinity में मिलेंगी all parallel lines meet at infinity, so that I'll have to meet that shitty person also at infinity. And I'm like yaar,
this is such a I don't know. This is such a good plot. Like, how does he come up with
this is like yaar मैं it's crazy good yaar. Varun has commented, thanks guys, I really appreciate it and best wishes to your channel, it's really cool. Thank you so much. What book is he holding? This guy is holding Italo Calvino's Cosmic Comics. There should be a live stream on Dandelion Wines. Guys, there was a live stream on Dandelion Wine. Ask Vaani. Vaani just got like, oh shit, don't mention that stream, Vaibhav. That stream is supposed to be private. Yeah. But like I was doing a Clubhouse with Vaani, and like for like 5 minutes I just explained this picture to her, like because how I just like people जिनके से बहुत सल पड़ते दिमाग like सर पे, क्योंकि लगता है कुछ तो
It took me some time to like realize what you were referring to, and then I was like, oh, okay.
You do this? Fuck, stress ही नहीं है लाइफ में, सारा स्ट्रेस मेरे को दे रखा है. ये देखो.
It's called skincare.
ये देख रहे हो? इतने साल पड़ते हैं मेरे. नहीं
There's a lot.
Oh shit.
But you know, like Leon mentioned, there's a special Discord server for like, I don't know, the Slack server dedicated to. Am I stuck?
No. Yeah.
Okay, there's a special server dedicated to a Slack server dedicated to skincare, and I was like, hey, we should have that as well.
And Vaani को जब ना कोई बात पसंद आती है तो on like the stream she goes like, hey, I approve of that, and it's so visible, like I just know the beat so well.
I tried not to do the but like I was like, hey, we should do that.
Yeah, it's very, very visible. But yeah, so हाँ guys, ये पढ़ो Cosmic Comics.
Become our godfathers. We'll discuss skincare as well.
We'll discuss skincare. Oh shit, yeah. Like it's just like it's like when I talk to Sehgal, na, हमेशा ये बात करते हैं. For him, Sopranos is like whiskey, like which has had to be had, like कि बहुत अच्छे जोन में होना. because वो कब से 1.5 साल से Sopranos देख रहे हैं. And he's like मैं कहाँ पहुँचा? वो बोला मैं अब season 3 episode 5 पे हूँ. फिर हम 6 महीने बाद मिलते हैं, बात करते हैं कहाँ पहुँचे. Season 4 episode 1. मैंने कहा क्या देख रहे? He's like वो मेरी whiskey है. This book is my whiskey. This book is my whiskey.
That's such a nice thought.
Yeah, man. Ki I just know I'll be feeling 10x better if I find a story which like speaks to me in it. Sometimes it becomes like very tricky because not all short stories are like of my type, but when you find it, all the struggle is worth it. Meet has commented, I really like your VM calling VM, make more like this. Achha, you are referring to this VM calling VM or the narrative fictional VM calling VM? Yeah, that was really accurate. किस चीज़ की बात हो रही है? I don't know. The masking routine of champions. I just started. Guys, by the way, कल Rajasthan Royals का कोलकाता नाइट राइडर्स के साथ मैच है. What you guys wished, Rajasthan is again at the bottom of the table. Or I was like, why am I back with my ex-girlfriend when I knew it will be a toxic relationship? Why? मैं को हमेशा लगता है I'll fix her. You know, I will fix her. इस बार मैं सुधार लूँगा. नहीं थोड़ी सी साइको है but मैं संभाल लूँगा. And again we are at the top of the like bottom of the table. It's like fucking with my mental health. I am a shittier person the day they lose matches. एंड हमारे रोज ना मेरे को सौरव एंड लाइक एवरीवन सेंड्स दीज टू थंबनेल्स इन द ग्राफिक ग्रुप. If Rajasthan wins, I'm like talking about today's match, and then everyone is like talking about today's match. But I was sad वाला देख नहीं पाते because yesterday Zaki and I were planning to do one, and he's like भाई रहने देते हैं नहीं करेंगे. कल 10 विकेट से हारी. It's the worst defeat. Zaki Singh भाई मत बोला कर इतनी एक्साइटमेंट के वन सेकेंड ना. जकी सिंह की मत बोला कर इतनी एक्साइटमेंट के साथ राजस्थान का मैच है. तू ही मनूस वैसा लगता है. या व्हाट वर यू सेइंग?
I was saying like, can you explain like कितने runs से हारी as well? Like what was the scene?
It is like it's like getting an F. It's like getting an F in your like exam. It wasn't. मतलब they did not give a fight. The Kohlian team just like totally bulldozed them. And the interesting thing is that Kohli has never won IPL in last 12-13 years. Never. It's the only team that has never won IPL. So कभी कभी लगता है कर लो. But I just know. Yeah. I know ये मेरा वही है कि I will fix her. ये सही हो जाएगी. And here and again, she's like the same psycho woman with some very different like attachment style which doesn't match. Which is like कि वैभव दूर रहे. It's like a red flag. But nahi yaar, I will still.
Zaki's in the comments, but he won't join the stream.
Zaki भाई चले जा. It's very very rude. फिर Zaki कहता है उसका फोन आता है तो मैं काटता क्यों? Zaki भाई spelling truths as always. Zaki के लिए कितना मुश्किल होगा ना. पहले यहाँ खुद कमेंट करता है अरे वो अकाउंट चेंज करके पीनट बटर के अकाउंट yeah. Best. Yeah. They were afraid of ABD. At least उससे तो बच गया. Call it success. Zaki, it's like Satyar Singh CSK at the top.
I will go back to like Mr. Peanut Butter. अब 1 मिनट में comment वापस आए.
अब 1 मिनट में Mr. Peanut. Guys, crack कर लिया हमने. Zaki की life है. यहाँ करो. अरे यार भी करना. Yeah. So a suggestion for the next book a month with Vaani. Burial at Sea, Kushwant Singh. Oh, we should pick up Kushwant Singh sometime in the year. We should pick up an Indian author like sometime in the coming
but months. I want to do a graphic novel.
Yeah. Vaani अच्छा reveal कर दिया. Okay.
नहीं अभी reveal नहीं किया. We're still not sure which graphic novel.
कल वाला एपिसोड कंफर्म है ना शनिवार रात में तैयब एंड जकी एंड हम दोनों भी होते हैं भाई. लेकिन ये क्या बात हुई तैयब एंड जकी?
Nobody values us because I don't know.
Yeah. नहीं बट सबसे पहली बात कल इट डिपेंड्स. चालू तो हो जाएगा बट मैच 11:30 बजे खत्म होगा. राजस्थान का मैच है रात को है. सो अ लॉट डिपेंड्स ऑन दैट कि किस जोन में होंगे हम. बट नो इट विल डेफिनेटली स्टार्ट. इट विल हैपन एंड इट विल बी ग्रेट. सो या बट दिस इज फन यार लाइक डूइंग स्ट्रीम्स आफ्टर सच अ लॉन्ग टाइम.
Yeah, we haven't streamed in a long time.
Right? Yeah, ऐसा लग रहा है. हाँ.
I took a break yesterday and I think like पता नहीं मैं कितने टाइम से.
वानी का कल बर्थडे. शी इज लाइक यार मैंने कहा वानी बर्थडे पे भी कर चुके हो रात को.
Yeah.
This is great guys. और बताओ जाते जाते like we'll be here for like some more minutes. कुछ सवाल कुछ जवाब कुछ बातें हैं अधूरी जो हम करें पूरी. Oh shit, Pathik will
This reminds me of that song from Yadein.
I was saying Pathik will be so proud. Yeah. Yadein का क्या था?
I don't know. I used to really like that song. Yadein याद आती हैं. I don't remember the rest of the part.
Yeah.
Harjas is here. We're seeing him after such a long time. Yeah.
How is?
Harjas is here.
Harjas. Oh, hi Harjas. Yeah, Harjas used to come a lot on our Clubhouse, but Harjas is not coming more often आजकल. I hope everything is okay. You know, it's very polite to ask people. Benefit of doubt की हम बहुत बात करते हैं ना. If someone is acting like in a strange way to you, always make sure it's not you, it's not them. It's mostly COVID. You just never know, man. So.
Yeah. I hope everyone's keeping safe and everyone is doing fine.
Yeah. मेरा lag आ रहा है यार.
But hey, Zaki is back as Mr. Peanut Butter. हम Zaki को तब तक push करते रहेंगे until he shows up for the stream.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
No, but this is nice.
Vaani, Harjas just wished you.
Hey. Thank you so much, Harjis.
Hey, Zaki's here.
Zakis. Oh God. Sorry, I take my words back.
पीनट बटर सुपर चैट दो सबसे पहले तो.
यार बस गिल्ट में डालोगे तो कैसे चलेगा?
Yeah, everything is okay. Harjus is saying thanks for asking. Yeah. Yeah. Zaki भाई कैसे हो?
एकदम बढ़िया भाई. आपने करा क्या है ऐसा?
आज तेरा पहली बार ऑडियो क्लियर आ रहा है इतने स्ट्रीम के बाद, पहली बार.
क्या बात कर रहे
Is it because Tayyab is not here?
ओ भाई वानी तो स्टार्ट ही देख रहे हो. क्या
हो? ऐसे तैयब के सामने भी लिया करो ना उसके ऐसे.
Yeah. एक सेकंड हुआ नहीं तो जकी को आए कमेंट आ गया, प्लीज इनवाइट चेतन भगत. लाइक बुला लेंगे यार.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Yeah,
Let him have a
yeah.
week's rest. I don't know what's up with me.
Yeah, but Harjas is saying, but I try to keep up with whatever is happening on the WhatsApp group. So yeah, he is our godfather, so he gets that access. आप लोग भी godfather patron बनिए, आपको भी वो access मिलेगी. या फिर जकी जितने cool दोस्त बनिए जो 15 साल तक दोस्ती maintain करते हैं, फिर उनको chance मिलता है streams पे आने का. Decide whichever ways you want to go.
Mr. Peanut Butter just gave a super chat. My friend, my idol, and my inspiration is here! Exclamation point into 7.
इंडियन आइडल मतलब कि मेरे को ये नहीं पता कि कौन ज्यादा स्मार्ट है. मैं 15 साल के बाद मैं स्ट्रीम पे आया हूँ, मैं या फिर 15 साल के बाद तू मुझे स्ट्रीम पे लाया ताकि तेरे को सुपर चैट्स मिलेंगे. तो
नहीं. One second ना, मेरा थोड़ा. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
मेरा हालात अभी ऐसे हो रखे हैं मतलब ना, तो आई एम नॉट इन माय प्रॉपर.
नहीं तू सही लग रहा है आज. तू इतना सुंदर लग रहा है आज. तू इतना ऑडियो वगैरह इतना लग रहा है. मतलब तू बस ऐसे ही रहे कल तक, कल वाले मैच तक किल कर देंगे अपन.
कर देंगे. मैं कह रहा हूँ एक बार टीम बदल के देखते हैं.
Change to what Mumbai Indians.
नहीं कुछ ढूंढते हैं और कोई ऐसे अंडरडॉग्स टाइप ढूंढते हैं. जकी बोलता है यार, मैं कह रहा हूँ एक बार ना थोड़ा दूर चलते हैं इससे. इट्स लाइक जकीज वे ऑफ सेइंग वैभव डेटिंग ऐप डाउनलोड कर ले.
But पिछली बार भी राजस्थान रॉयल्स had reached the finales or something.
हाँ
नीचे से हमने मिस कर दिया.
ये कौन सा आईपीएल है जो हम मिस कर रहे हैं? वानी आई थिंक रणजी ट्रॉफी ज्यादा देख रही है आजकल.
रणजी में is राजस्थान winning.
नहीं यार वहां भी नहीं यार. क्यों तो वैसे सबके सामने खोल रहे आप.
Himachal is the worst in Ranji. No, this is something I think. I don't know.
I think
don't know.
Himachalis would be very polite on like ground. भाई जी रन बना लो भाई जी. नहीं हम मत जाते.
ओ अरे भाई जी.
पर मैं एक बिल्कुल दिल से बात पूछना चाहूंगा. मैं 4 स्ट्रीम में आया हूँ. कौन सा मैंने आपको इंस्पायर कर दिया यार? मेरे को प्लीज बता दो. मैं खुद को नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ इंस्पायर.
Yeah, please tell us the source of your inspiration, Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah. बट जकी बाकी सब बढ़िया. क्या चल रहा है? कुछ नया देख रहा है आजकल? कोई शो या कोई मूवी का आजकल क्या चल रहा है?
भाई अभी जो यहाँ पे चल रहा है ना वो शो से काफी इंटरेस्टिंग.
मार्केट बता थोड़ा. किस में? स्टील में इन्वेस्ट करें?
यही बात है कि मेरे पास पर तो करा क्या जो हर कोई कमेंट कर रहा था कि यू डिड दैट और कैप्स में और लिख रहे थे लोग बात ना. तो
अरे पता नहीं यार, मैं कॉफी पीने जाता हूँ पता चलता है मैं कैंसिल हो गया. पता ही नहीं क्या गेम चल रहा है. नहीं बट सही है यार. काफी बुरा सीन है यार कोविड का जकी. मतलब मेरे पेरेंट्स भी आज इतने स्ट्रेस में थे. एंड ही टोल्ड माय फादर वाज टेलिंग मी कि अ डॉक्टर लाइक हमारे जो मेन डॉक्टर है हॉस्पिटल में, ही हैड अ ब्रेक डाउन बिकॉज ऑक्सीजन खत्म हो गई थी हॉस्पिटल में. तो मैं ऐसा सुन रहा था. ओह फक
यार. वो जब तक अपन नंबर्स देख रहे हैं ना तब तक वी डोंट फील अ थिंग. पर जब वो हो जाता है ना कि अब अपने लोगों में से
हो रहा है.
और वो काफी खतरनाक वाले इंस्टेंसेस हैं मतलब कि जो आज मैंने सुने हैं काफी ज्यादा ना. तो मतलब उसके बाद
और जकी ये एयरबॉर्न हो गई है डिजीज. ये जो है मतलब बेसिकली लोग घर पे हैं, वो घर से नहीं निकले 1 महीने से, उनको कोविड हो रहा है. It's in the air now. तो
ट्रिपल म्यूटेंट कह रहे हैं इसको, and
Yeah.
क्या है, what does it mean, मेरे को नहीं पता मालूम, but
Yeah. Omer Kumar just commented, you just recently started following your channel. You guys are so wholesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Omer. कोई और नए लोग हैं तो बताओ यार हमें. Your channel is a savior in such tough times you are dealing in the pandemic. Yeah. Guys, मैं और वानी कल ही बात कर रहे थे. We are starting this new campaign on the channel. सिर्फ वो कंटेंट नहीं होगा बट लाइक इट विल बी लाइक वेरी हेविली समथिंग दैट विल बी सीइंग ऑन द चैनल. सो द कैंपेन इज कॉल्ड फील गुड कैंपेन. मैंने अभी इंस्टाग्राम पे एक पोस्ट डाली थी कुछ दिन पहले अबाउट फील गुड मूवीज एंड शोज दैट यू कैन वॉच करंटली. लाइक आई विल रीड आउट द लिस्ट टू यू जो मैंने डाली थी. इंस्टाग्राम अभी डाउनलोडेड है लकीली मेरे फ़ोन में, मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. सो द थिंग्स दैट आई हैड रिकमेंडेड इन द फील गुड लिस्ट: ऑफिस स्पेस, इट्स अ मूवी. Begin Again, it's a movie on Netflix. The Big Sick, a movie on Prime. Soul, Hotstar पे है. Master of None, जिसका by the way season 3 अब आ रहा है Netflix. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's like Hotstar. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Netflix. If you watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, please also watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Both are good. Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, extremely funny. The Office, the whole show, कभी भी खाना खाते हो देखो. चश्मे बद्दूर, it's a very very good movie starring फारूक शेख. किसी से ना कहना, again a movie starring फारूक शेख on YouTube. ऑसवर्ल्ड, अगेन यूट्यूब पे पड़ा है, हिंदी में डब्ड. और ऑसवर्ल्ड देखना है तो इंग्लिश में मत देखना, हिंदी में देखना. वो डेजी और वो जो ऐसे बात करते हैं फालतू सी स्टूपिड सी.
मेरे को याद है वो एक बादल होता है जो छोटा सा होता है और उसकी वजह से बारिश हो जाती है और सब बह जाता है. और ऑसवर्ल्ड में घर का नल खुला छोड़ देता है तो उससे भी सब बह जाते हैं. दो फ्लड के एपिसोड्स हैं एपिसोड में.
वो एक बार टमाटर का पेड़ उगाता है, मेरे को याद है. ऑसवर्ल्ड अपने ऑसवर्ल्ड इज वेरी मेडिटेटिव. एक तो उसके इतने सारे पैर है तब भी वो ऐसे 1 घंटा लगाता है इधर से वहां जाने में. और हेनरी कितना एरोगेंट होता है, पूरा एंग्शियस अटैच्ड और लाइक अवॉइडेंट, पूरा भाव ही नहीं देता और उसका अलग ट्रॉमा चला लाइफ में, है ना.
I used to relate to the fact how he used to keep his surroundings very clean.
Yeah.
Like वो अपने spoons को हमेशा polish कर रहा होता है. He would get anxious and he would start cleaning everything. I was like, that's relatable.
हेनरी को बहुत ऐसे डीप कैरेक्टर बनाया था, बाकी सब ऐसे थे लाइफ इज सो गुड. हेनरी हैड सीन थिंग्स. हेनरी ने देखा है लोगों
Yeah.
को कुछ होते हैं. सो या
डेजी तो सबका काटती थी भाई.
डेजी सबका
Daisy.
काट.
Yeah. Daisy used to वो हमेशा अपने backyard में कुछ ना कुछ कर रही होती थी. That was like, she was the chick you want to be, but you'll always end up being Henry.
Zaki is judging so bad right now. Yeah. Or some more recommendations. Powerpuff Girls, it's on Prime. Powerpuff Girls actually you can also watch in English. It's equally enjoyable. Entourage on Hotstar. Mr. Bean, Prime YouTube. दिल चाहता है Netflix. और लास्ट जकी के लिए भाई के लिए लिखी थी मैंने, मुझसे शादी करोगी. इट्स ऑन Amazon Prime. So
मेरे को वैभव बता चुका है वानी आपका मुझसे शादी करोगी देखने का एक्सपीरियंस.
हाँ.
I tried watching the film. It wasn't bad.
ठीक है.
कजान की बुक में लिखा है, ये बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है. अभी वानी इज रीडिंग इट. इन फिल्म इंडस्ट्री, if someone says कि hey it's nice, it means it's okay, and if someone says it's okay, it means it's bad. So every time someone gives you a compliment, उससे एक ग्रेड नीचे होता है. ये फिल्म इंडस्ट्री का सबसे बड़ा रूल होता है. और ये उसमें हॉलीवुड के साथ लगा था. मैंने कहा बॉलीवुड एक्सट्रीम पूरा इसमें चलता है. मतलब जैसे बॉम्बे में ये बहुत होता है कि तूने कुछ बनाया एंड पीपल से सी इट, लाइक किसी को देखा कैसे लगा, सही है यार, सही है मीन्स ब्रो इट्स नॉट देयर येट. सही है मीन्स कि इट्स लाइक अ डी ग्रेड. But if someone says hey, it's really good, it means it's good. And then when someone says it's fucking good, it means it's very good. तो मतलब एक ग्रेड नीचे होता है. आई थिंक ये सिर्फ फिल्म इंडस्ट्री नहीं और भी बहुत जगह अप्लाई होगा. बट जब कजान ने ये चीज़ लिखी थी मैंने कहा ये 60 साल पहले वो सब एक्सपीरियंस कर चुका है जो मैं अभी कर रहा हूँ. 60 भी नहीं, 80 से 90 साल टाइप्स. काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग था. या
मतलब हर बार पे ये चीज ट्रू होगी. मतलब कि ऐसे जैसे वो कुछ बहुत ही शानदार लगी और फिर
यार मोस्टली होता है बिकॉज वे पीपल हैव टू बी पॉलिटिकली करेक्ट ना, क्योंकि लोगों को ना सच हजम इतनी इजीली नहीं होता. तो मनी बॉल
जो तू कहता है बहुत अच्छी है, तो हमें पता है कि तेरे लिए वो एक लेवल ऊपर ही है. तो मतलब
नहीं,
is
बट
not
लाइक
always
इट्स इसलिए तो चल, मतलब वो पैशन की बात होती है. इट्स लाइक कभी कभी खुद के लिए ट्रू होता है कि मतलब जकी कैसा लगा मेरा काम वहाँ पे. लाइक व्हेन यू स्पेशली टेक फीडबैक्स, इट्स अबाउट टेकिंग
validation
फीडबैक्स.
जब चाहिए होता है.
जब फीडबैक्स चाहिए होता है तो पीपल ट्राई टू बी अ लिटिल हार्श, लेस हार्श ऑन यू. उसकी एक ट्रिक होती है कि पीपल विल टेल यू कि हाँ मतलब सही है, बट सही है मतलब कि हे मैन यू नीड टू वर्क हार्डर. आई एम लाइक फक, मेरी टीम देख रही होगी तो वो क्या सोचेंगे. मतलब शिट. वैभव अगर वो व्हाट्सएप जाके वैभव ने मेरे को 76 टाइम्स सही है बोला पिछले 2 महीने.
मतलब अब मैं जाने वाला है.
I was actually counting the number of times you've reviewed my podcast and said, "हाँ, it looks very good. It's good."
नहीं, मैं तो ऐसी कजान की बात कर रहा हूँ. हम तो जो बोलते हैं बिल्कुल सच का
ये
दिला.
अपनी व्हाट्सएप कॉल यहाँ नहीं करनी होती है. साल भर से स्ट्रीम कर रहा है फिर भी यार.
जकी बताता है यार, सिखाना पड़ता है यार इनको आके अभी भी यार. वहाँ मार्केट गिर रहा है बट मेरे को लगा तुम्हारा स्ट्रीम गिर रहा है तो मैं संभाल लूँ. नहीं यार, मार्केट उठेगा भाई, मेरे को लग रहा है अभी कुछ होगा, बड़ा होने वाला है.
कुछ बहुत बड़ा होने वाला.
ये ब्लैक फ्राइडे में डायलॉग था ना, धमाका होने वाला है. कुछ लाइक कुछ ऐसे बहुत सारे उसमें होता है ना. या सो ओ स्कूल ऑफ रॉक नहीं लिखी मैंने फील गुड मूवीज में. मैं कितना बड़ा स्टूपिड इंसान हूँ. मैंने स्कूल ऑफ रॉक नहीं लिखी.
It's okay. There'll be a part 2.
there is always a part.
Now there's a reason to have a part 2.
yeah.
Pokemon is on Hoot Kids, तो ये भी लिख सकते हैं.
yeah Pokemon.
Has anyone seen Detective Conan?
I haven't seen it. बताओ ना उसके बारे में.
I don't know. I just feel like it never existed because मेरे अलावा I've never met anyone who's seen Detective Conan. But वो हंगामा पे आता था. It was actually an anime. जिसमें it was about a kid who was so smart he would solve mysteries, and then he made enemies, and then the enemy gave him an injection. Then he was a 16-year-old inside the body of a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old trying to solve. But उसकी gadgets used to be like pretty cool.
लोग ट्रू डिटेक्टिव कह रहे हैं. लोग ट्रू डिटेक्टिव ने गाइस, वो ट्रू डिटेक्टिव की बात नहीं कर रही है वानी. बट ऑस्कर्स है ना संडे. मन ही नहीं हो रहा यार देखने का बिल्कुल. मतलब फील ही नहीं आ रही जो चल रहा है देश में और दुनिया में. और टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट मैंने ऑस्कर वाली इस बार इतनी पिक्चरें देखी नहीं है. मैं कैसे कवर अप कर रहा हूँ ना, मन ही नहीं हो रहा है कि हाँ. yeah Vishal commented, yeah it was really like fun Detective Conan. ये मिस्टर पीनट बटर कैसे कमेंट्स कर रहा है. आई हैव वानी मतलब जकी ये कैसे
मतलब देखा है उसने डिटेक्टिव कॉनन. ये कह रहे हैं
कॉमा
हैव सीन इट
कॉमा.
The importance of pronunciation.
Yeah, कॉमा लगाइए guys. Pronunciation नहीं, punctuation वानी.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
Split of tongue हो गया.
ऑस्कर नॉमिनेटेड कोई ढंग की मूवीज हैं.
स्प्लिट ऑफ टंग नहीं, स्लिप ऑफ टंग.
Get the joke में.
वानी हम इतनी गलतियां कर रहे थे तो तब जोक लैंड नहीं करता.
Yeah, but someone commented Recess. That was also a great cartoon.
मैंने नहीं देखा है.
जकी तो वो देखता था एड एंड एडी, उनके मुंह से थूक
Yeah,
निकलती
I like that. They used to run like this, no? हाथ आगे.
मैं नहीं देखता था. बहुत ही
एक बार फिर से प्लीज.
बहुत ही अनएस्थेटिक शो था. इतनी थूक, इतनी सलाइवा.
Yeah, I used to hate it a lot.
वानी
Then
अभी
I
कह रही है
like. No, but they used to run like this. My brother used to love it. And he's like, why do you need to watch it? Everything used to be like so big.
no, that is one thing that I could never like enjoy.
I really liked Totally Spies, which I'm pretty certain both of you have not seen. Because it was... Have you seen Charlie's Angels? कुछ ऐसे नाम था उस film का.
शार्लेट उसकी चार्लीज थेरन वाले.
No. Take the name of the actors. I might know better.
Charlie's.
There were 3 female actors. They were spies.
Cameron.
Yes. Yeah. So it was a spin-off of that. It was a French-American series. And ये cartoon था with 3 girls. उनके gadgets again was so cool. Like really cool.
Yeah.
मैंने देखा है.
नहीं यार,
Yeah.
मतलब हम तो बड़े मियाँ छोटे मियाँ स्वेट कैट्स देखते थे भाई।
Oh, they were also pretty cool.
मैं ऐसे याद है कि मम्मा पापा उस रूम में सो रहे होते थे, मैं इस रूम में होता था। नहीं, एक टाइम पे हाँ, इस रूम में कूलर होता था, सो एवरीवन यूज्ड टू स्लीप इन दिस रूम। मैं बेड से ऐसे ऐसे थोड़ा थोड़ा निकल के बाहर जाता था और उस रूम में टीवी होता था। 4:30 दिन में स्वेट कैट्स हमने किया, और इसका इंट्रो बहुत अच्छा होता था। वो लाइक वो जो बोरिंग वाली एक उनकी वो होती थी जो ऐसे मिट्टी में से निकल जाती थी, बड़े हुए छोटे, वो काफ़ी काफ़ी अच्छा। इट्स लाइक अ ग्रेट शो, और अगेन हिंदी में देखने का मजा ही कुछ और है।
हिंदी में तो बेस्ट था वो, था ना जॉनी ब्रावो। उस
Yeah.
मतलब वो तो देखा ही होगा ना सबने, मतलब
हाँ,
काफी तगड़ी चीज।
There was also Kim Possible.
किम कार्डेशियन।
Kim Possible.
प्यार इम्पॉसिबल देखी।
Kim Possible. I had a big. She was like one of my first crushes.
मिस्टर पीनट बटर इज सेइंग वन डॉग टू अनदर, क्योंकि उनकी फोटो में डीपी है ना मिस्टर, लाइक उसकी मिस्टर पीनट बटर फ्रॉम बोजाकी इज लाइक, तो इनके दोस्त होंगे ना करेज और मिस्टर पीनट बटर काफी अच्छे दोस्त होंगे या। और तुमने नोटिस किया वानी, बीच बीच में जब जकी जैसे ही चुप हो जाता है वहाँ कमेंट आ जाता है।
पकड़ लिया क्या यार?
एक टाइम पे कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होता कि जकी के हाथ ऊपर और वहाँ कमेंट आ जाए, तो मतलब
Zaki ऐसे हाथ करना,
पीनट
Mr.
बटर भाई
Peanut
तुमको
Butter
कुछ ना
comment करना,
देखो नहीं आ रहा, कुछ नहीं आ रहा।
कुछ नहीं आ रहा.
People are
अब नहीं
impressed
है।
with Vaani. अरे Kim Possible काफी cool यार। Kim Possible was basically Black Widow for kids, सेवा प्रकाश से।
Yeah, she was mind-blowing.
नहीं यार, ये काफी I miss those days.
जब भी कराटे क्लासेस जाने का मन नहीं होता था, I used to watch Kim Possible in hopes that one day I'll be able to pull off the stunts that she pulls off, which never worked out.
Yeah.
Never did.
होता है, कोई बात नहीं। प्यार यार मेरे दिमाग, I love Zaki। हाँ।
See, Zaki के हाथ भी नीचे.
वो लिटरली मतलब टाइपिंग की भी आवाज आई थी।
I love Zaki.
जकी कमेंट आया, जकी भाई नेक्स्ट पेटीएम कब कर रहे हो?
अरे मेरे को पता है यार ये कौन है, ये अपना एक कोई दोस्त है तो जिसका स्प्लिट वाइज का अकाउंट है मेरा, वो एक दिन आके मेरे को बोलेगा भैया क्लियर हो गया तेरा सारा।
यार एक क्वेश्चन है ऐसे, लाइक टोटली डिफरेंट सेगवे, तुम लोगों का स्प्लिट वाइज एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा तुम्हारे फ्लैटमेट्स और उनके साथ? क्योंकि आई हैव हर्ड पीपल हैव हैड टेरेबल रूममेट्स स्लैश फ्लैटमेट्स वेयर like a friend once told me she used to live with some woman and like वो अंडे लेके आते थे, तो अंडे अगर लाइक अंडे में स्प्लिट वाइज में जैसे स्प्लिट करती थी कि तूने अगर एक अंडा खाया है ना, तो अगले दिन इट्स लाइक द मोस्ट हॉरेंडस थिंग्स, लाइक हाउ पीपल डू दीज थिंग्स कि
काफी चिंदी हो जाती,
काफ़ी वो हो जाता है कि हे लाइक अच्छा तूने इसके भी पैसे काट लिए। मतलब मैंने एक बाइट खा लिया तेरे पराठे का, वो स्प्लिट वाइज पे अपडेट कर दिया तूने। ऐसा होता है क्या? मैंने सुना है लोगों के ऐसा होता है, मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं
I have
हुआ
no
है।
idea. Never used splitwise.
मेरे साथ हुआ है और तुमको पता है कि किसने किया, ठीक है लेट्स नॉट गो देयर। बट हाँ लेकिन स्प्लिट वाइज तो वैसे ओवरऑल एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा है, मतलब उसमें लिखा हुआ था ना कि पे कर दो उसको, तो you just click on that button and you don't even have to pay anything.
नाइस बट लाइक मैंने कब एक बार बहुत तारीफ की थी स्प्लिट वाइज की, इट्स अ वेरी डिजाइनर थिंग। स्प्लिट वाइज में व्हेन यू ओ समवन मनी ऑरेंज होता है एंड व्हेन यू समवन ओज यू तो ग्रीन होता है। आई रियली लाइक हाउ इट्स ऑरेंज एंड नॉट रेड, क्योंकि रेड बहुत अलर्टिंग होता है, हे यू ओ 6,000 रुपीज टू दिस पर्सन। तो ऑरेंज होता है तो इट्स लाइक हाँ आई कैन डील विद दिस, दे दूंगा। रेड होता है तो आई एम लाइक अनदर एंजाइटी फैक्टर, वेरी स्मॉल थिंग बट दीज थिंग्स मैटर अ लॉट।
Yeah.
Is like Anand has commented, yes split wise clear कर देना is equals to मेरे पैसे वापस दे दो please। yeah, but बहुत horror stories है यार लोगों की split wise की। $100 commented love Shinchan because he could do and say all the inappropriate things I wanted to but couldn't।
It took me some time to make peace with Shinchan.
मेरे को नहीं पता, मैंने नहीं देखा, मतलब मेरे को पता है वो एक अजीब सा बच्चा था जो
Yeah, he was very rude and impolite.
अच्छा
सही है।
नहीं शिनचैन की बात है।
That's one way to paint it. I'm sorry, but people loved him.
Yeah.
Because he was also very,
Happy go lucky.
I think
फ्लर्ट
so.
करता था वो सब सही है ये देखा था
Yeah.
There used to be उसका एक spin-off भी आया था, I think. Um, this was when my sibling was growing up. So I had Shinchan. He had Hagemaru, Higamaru, something like that.
गाली क्यों दे रही हो यार?
Higamaru.
बात ही तो कर रहे हैं.
No. That was the name of the cartoon.
बात ही तो कर रहे हैं.
आगे मारू मुक्का मारू लात
Hagemaru.
व्हाट इज द
Yeah.
बिहेवियर
Hey, Mr. Peanut Butter just commented.
हरजस is saying बच्चे चुराने वाली पागल बुढ़िया. Shinchan to his mom.
Yeah, she
Seriously?
used to. Yeah.
Oh dude. और ये ऐसे
Do you remember?
uncensored ऐसे बच्चे चुराने वाली.
Yeah.
तो इसमें सेंसर क्या करोगे बच्चे
Then
बुढ़िया
she used to give him like ek danadan karke, and then he used to get these boils on his head.
Fuck dude. Shinchan was an adult cartoon like The Simpsons and South Park, which they dubbed for kids in India. Oh.
And the dubbing, of course, was very.
Debatable कि कितनी.
Yeah.
But this is nice यार. जकी कितना मार्केट बचा रहा है आज तू? मतलब तू ही है, मतलब क्या ट्रम्प का मैसेज आएगा? क्या चल रहा है?
तो ट्रम्प ने अपनी साइट बना ली है पता है जब उसको ट्विटर से बैन
वो
ऐसा सुनने में आया था पता नहीं मैंने
Yeah. He made his own website.
सोशल मीडिया वेबसाइट बना. वो खेलेगा तो सही, कुछ ना कुछ तो करेगा वो. And
You know, it's very surprising how much I'm seeing of Trump in the early 2000s wale TV shows and films. Like he's there, he's always there, and I'm like, I'm questioning my choice now because I'm like, I was watching Sex and the City a few days ago and Trump was there, and I was like,
Trump was in
Is
Sex
he
and the
here?
City also.
Yeah, and like there are some shows that you just like really
पर ऐसा
like
होता होगा
because
ना
they were
वानी
a
उसमें
part
कि
of you.
उनको ट्रम्प टावर्स में शूट करना होता होगा और वो बोलते होंगे कि तुम्हें
Yeah.
करना है तो हमारे जो
Something like that.
Yeah.
But then you eventually end up questioning you just feel like, hey,
सब कुछ बिका हुआ है.
Yeah.
जैसे लोगों का पिटिशन चल रहा था होम अलोन से रिमूव कर दो ट्रम्प को. वो लास्ट में रास्ता दिखाता ना उसको कि जस्ट रिमूव ट्रम्प फ्रॉम दैट. एंड इट्स बैड. लाइक मैंने कल ही अमेरिकन साइको की एक फोटो देखी थी जिसमें क्रिश्चियन बेल एंड ट्रम्प आर स्टैंडिंग नेक्स्ट टू ईच अदर. इनफैक्ट आज ही देखी थी ये शायद. तो कि वो भी एक चीज़ थी. अवनी शुक्ला हैज कमेंटेड still remember the whole song of Shinchan, the Hindi version. Nice, good to see so many stickers like patrons in the comments now. काफी cool है. Yeah. Zaki बन जा, इतना पैसा कमाता है, पेट्रन बन जा भाई.
क्या पैसा कमाता हूँ मैं दे देता हूँ ना दूसरे अकाउंट से सुपर चैट में.
आज on record Zaki just accepted.
Confessed to being Mr. Peanut Butter.
नहीं यार सही है. बट ध्यान रखो गाइस थोड़ा, मतलब लाइक जो भी चल रहा है अभी बहुत ही खतरनाक है. डिप्रेसिंग टाइम्स.
अच्छा तैयब ने बताया था कि तूने और तैयब ने किसी डॉक्टर के साथ एक वीडियो
डॉक्टर चंद्रा के साथ किया. वो कल रिलीज हो रहा है. इट्स अ ग्रेट फकिंग वीडियो. इट्स सो इन्फॉर्मेटिव. हमने बच्चों के जैसे बात की है. सर ये होता है कैसे होता है कि अगर मेरी पहली वैक्सीन कोविशील्ड की लगी है तो कोवैक्सीन अगली लगवा सकते हैं. लाइक वेरी ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. कि मैंने आज इंस्टा पे डाला था व्हाट क्वेश्चन शुड आई आस्क. लाइक देयर वर अराउंड 40-45 क्वेश्चंस दैट हैड कम. एक क्वेश्चन था जो मोर देन 4 or 5 पीपल आस्क्ड. ऐसे बेसिक लगेगा बट इट्स अ वेरी स्मार्ट क्वेश्चन. इफ 2 people हैव कोविड कैन दे लिव टुगेदर. सो उसका आंसर बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है जब तुम सुनोगे, क्योंकि वो CT स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है. तो किसका कितना CT स्कोर है दोनों का. तो ऐसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें थी जो हमने उनसे पूछी. It is releasing tomorrow, like Understanding COVID Second Wave with Dr. Chandra, and you must have seen his video on Instagram. Like it really blew up, 5 million views and everything. बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा था. तो मतलब सही था कि बीच बीच में तैयब खेल रहा था थोड़ा ना. तैयब का आता है ना मजा. वो पूछ रहा था क्वेश्चन. सर आई वॉन्ट टू नो सर ऐसे. मेरे को बड़ा मजा आ रहा था यार. Like it's like nice to see तैयब also in the groove, man. Like अच्छा था. Yeah.
पीनट बटर का मैसेज कमेंट है. मैंने आपकी एग्जिस्टेंस को एक्नॉलेज बिल्कुल किया है सर, ऐसी बात नहीं है. आई एम सॉरी. आपकी मोहब्बत चलचित्र के लिए बहुत पाक और शफाक है, कोई उस पर डाउट नहीं है.
अरे बाप रे. या but yeah man, this was amazing. स्ट्रीम ख़त्म करते हैं अब, हम 2 घंटे से स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं. Guys, स्ट्रीम लाइक कर दो और check out Vaani's podcast which released today, Vaani's blog which released today. We are just 2000 subscribers, almost 2000 subscribers away from 50k. और अभी we are at 47,900 subscribers, which is quite nice. So, oh, there is another super chat by Mr. Peanut Butter for the courage पहले. कितना पैसा है भाई इसके पास? है ज़की? कितना पैसा है मिस्टर पीनट बटर के पास?
Zaki's got the right fans.
हाँ यार, मतलब ये तो बहुत सही है. तू अगर कैलकुलेट करे और स्ट्रीम में, ये तेरे अलावा भी स्ट्रीम पे करता है तो 7 स्ट्रीम्स और है, मतलब सही पकड़े हो ज़की भाई.
भैया जॉब दिलवा दो.
या
कमेंट करने से बेटर जिंदगी सवार दो.
या बट गाइस, ख़त्म करते हैं स्ट्रीम. कल मिलते हैं रात को. मैं वानी, होपफुली शक्ति विल आल्सो बी देयर, ज़की इज़ गोइंग टू बी देयर, तैयब इज़ गोइंग टू बी देयर, और राजस्थान रॉयल्स के बारे में बातें होंगी एंड होपफुली अच्छी बातें हो.
Hopefully Rajasthan Royals will win tomorrow.
या होपफुली, वी ऑल आर होपिंग. एंड
और लास्ट ईयर की तरह से इस बार भी फाइनल में पहुंचे हैं ना वानी?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So I got what? Oh, Sam is saying I just got recommended your chat. Is the video getting recommended? Shit. We cannot stop.
Stay.
Let me check. Let me quickly check if this video is getting recommended. Just let me quickly check. Because अगर वो हो रहा है तो हम जा नहीं सकते, क्योंकि YouTube कभी कभी आपका वीडियो रेकमेंड करता है, हिल नहीं सकते फिर आप. 1 second.
चाम है तेरे भाई का.
हाँ
मैं कह रहा हूँ चाम है तेरे भाई का, और कुछ नहीं.
या नहीं दिखा रहा मेरे को. Our channel is definitely getting recommended, so I'll quickly tell you what we do. Sam, we are a recommendation based platform where we recommend movies, books, music, podcasts, and we do these streams. We do quizzes on our platform. We get like very interesting people on our platform, and बहुत सारे guests आते हैं. कल ही हमारा एक रिलीज़ हुआ था एपिसोड. अभी हमारा शीबा चड्डा के साथ एक एपिसोड आ रहा है, एंड इट्स लाइक मिक्सचर ऑफ अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, बट मोस्टली अगर आपको कुछ सुनना है, कुछ देखना है, कुछ पढ़ना है, तो दिस इज द चैनल टू बी एट. एंड अदरवाइज ऑल्सो वी आर वेरी फन पीपल टू लाइक. मतलब शक्ल देख रहे हो ज़की की, मतलब ऐसा हुस्न आपने कभी देखा है? लाइक हुस्न क्या होता है हिंदी इंग्लिश में? बॉडी, सॉरी, मैं मतलब ऐसे नहीं बोलना चाह रहा था. नहीं, क्या
Beauty.
मतलब देखो, क्या जॉ लाइन देख रहे हो भाई की?
जब आएगी तो बेटे बताना.
जब आएगी. Yeah, Avni saying she loved today's podcast with Vaani. Like, thank you so much, Avni. Guys, second last पर हमारा जो sister channel है उसको जाके subscribe कीजिए. We have around 3,000 subscribers there. And Abhinav Pathak is there. He is one of our nicest fans of Chalchitra, and also a moderator on the channel now. So yeah, we will end the stream now. I hope you guys had fun. Do like, do subscribe. Hey Sam, just subscribe to our channel. So this is great. We are at I'll just quickly check. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Let's keep at it. अच्छा है. चलो guys, ख़त्म करते स्ट्रीम. I'll end the stream now. Bye bye everyone. Bye guys.